Hello. In case you forgot, my name is Thomas Miller. If you are here, that means you're still interested in my popular history show. If you are looking for my academic lectures to prepare for final exams in history, then use this link. There you will find my lectures included in the list of textbooks recommended by the World Education Council in 2022. Here I'm conducting a much less formal conversation about history, allowing myself a few more subjective assessments and lyrical digressions with a little more psychology. I call it my creative laboratory. Today, as I promised, we're going to talk about the socioeconomic crisis of the first quarter of the 21st century. In case you get tired of seeing my face, you can switch to the movie mode. Then you will see the illustration material and not me. Well, let's begin, my friends. The beginning of the 21st century occupies an important place in world history. Humanity was going through a remarkable time then, although probably many people saw the times they lived in as extraordinary and the most progressive. And yet, let's forget for a while about the high level of civilization in the 23rd century and put ourselves in the place of the people who lived 2 centuries ago. They saw tremendous progress. Literally, in a few decades, so much was invented at this time to make human life better and easier. The tools and machines became very precise. Just take a look at what 3D printers were capable of and how much medical technology had advanced. Computers became more and more powerful. Just look at the internet. Isn't that magical? Now people were able to transfer gigabytes of data in seconds. Any information could be obtained in 2 to 3 clicks. And not only information, everything. The common man acquired powers that not even the wealthiest kings of the past could dream of. A few decades ago, all those advances in science and technology seemed like pipe dreams or fantasies, and now they had become commonplace, a familiar daily reality. It seemed that the people of the earth were connected as never before in their history. First of all, economically. Think of all these multinational corporations. They were everywhere. The whole world seemed to have become one large factory, divided into many workshops. The economic system was tied by millions of threads. People in different countries listened to the same popular music, played the same video games, empathized with the same characters of the world's best-selling literary books, watched the same films and TV, and wore clothes of the same brands. And how many international organizations were responsible for the common good of mankind? Well, at least that's what was written in their statutes and numerous declarations. United Nations, World Health Organization, UNESCO, Greenpeace, and other human rights organizations. People shared all kinds of activities. They organized international festivals, sport competitions, tournaments and championships, conferences and symposia. There was a feeling that state borders were just a formality. Well, at least until this story began. It seemed that the people on Earth lived as one big happy family. And it seemed that everyone in this large family would eagerly rush to help another at the first call.
Shvatili ste da velika međunarodna solidarnost u stvari ne postoji. Evropska solidarnost ne postoji. To je bila bajka na papiru. Mi od danas, kao što znate, ne možemo ni da uvezemo robu odlukama Evropske unije. Ursula von der Leyen je to rekla malo pre. Ne možemo medicinsku opremu ni da uvozimo iz zemalja Evropske unije.
What a surprise! But perhaps this is just an exception, a rare, unfortunate misunderstanding. And solidarity and mutual assistance still rule on Earth? Surely the head of the United Nations was aware. Let's listen to him.
COVID-19 has been likened to an X-ray, revealing fractures in the fragile skeleton of the societies we have built. It is exposing fallacies and falsehoods everywhere. The lie that free markets can deliver health care for all. The delusion that we live in a post-racist world. The myth that we are all in the same boat. Because while we are all floating on the same sea, it is clear that some are in super yachts, with others are clinging to drifting debris. Dear friends, inequality defines our time. More than 70% of the world's people are living with rising income and wealth inequality. The 26 richest people in the world hold as much wealth as half the global population.
In the same speech, Antonio Guterres stated that humanity is facing the deepest global recession since World War II, that another 100 million people could be plunged into extreme poverty, and that our ancestors were threatened by a famine of historical proportions. But maybe people at least achieved peace on Earth? Alas, here is a list of military conflicts unleashed only at the end of the 20th and in the first 20 years of the 21st century. What about non-interference in the internal affairs of other countries?
We came, we saw, he died.
Nothing is comforting here either. The powerful states intervened in the affairs of less developed countries, and even those didn't get along with each other. Human rights, peace, sustainable development, food, or environmental security. Whatever important issue you would think of, everywhere the situation was critical or catastrophic. How so? Why were the numerous international organizations powerless or ineffective? Why were the promises of the political leaders not fulfilled? And why did their declared good intentions not lead to a positive result? Why, with all the technological progress, with all the achievements in science and technology, with the most powerful productive forces, people were still unable to put such phenomena as hunger, poverty, unemployment and homelessness, wars and violence into the past? Why did the golden age of humanity not arrive? The short answer to this question fits into one 10-letter word: capitalism. Let's take a look at what humanity looked like in economic and social terms. Back in 2016, according to the Oxfam organization, the wealth of the richest 1% of people on the planet exceeded the wealth of the remaining 99%. 72 million people owned a fortune of $125 trillion. In 2021, there were 2,755 billionaires in the world. At the same time, in 2018, almost half of the world's population, 3.4 billion people, lived on less than $5.50 a day. In 2019, 736 million people were languishing in the tight grip of extreme poverty, on less than $1.90 a day. 2.2 billion people on the planet did not have access to clean drinking water. More than 4 billion people suffered from unsanitary conditions. 3 billion did not have soap to wash their hands with. 100 million people were homeless. An additional 1.6 billion people worldwide had inadequate housing conditions. About 15 million people were forcibly evicted every year. Natural resources were distributed extremely unevenly. The states of the so-called First World consumed most of the planet's energy and raw materials. The only cause of this ever-increasing inequality was the capitalist mode of production. And the main line dividing humanity was private ownership of the means of production. Private ownership of the means of production divided society into two main classes: the class of the owners of capital, banks, factories, natural resources, and land, and the class of people that had no other opportunity to earn a living other than to get hired. Most of the material goods were produced by the labor of hired workers. In 2020, About 55% of the working age population was part of the labor force, and most of these people were hired workers.